What they gotta do? What?
Welcome again, it's your boy Japanese Tutor back at it again with the most popular chess openings. Today we're going to kick it off with the hedgehog. But before you do, if you have learned anything from this channel or have learned it by the end of this video, consider giving me a subscribe and a like for the video. Thank you so much. You the guys, you the mans, you the womans, you the everybody. Let's go. All right, so hedgehog formation, and again, we're following Jeremy Silman's book. The link is going to be down below if you want to follow along with us. So we're gonna set up the position right here. Bam. Set up the position. C4, C5, knight F3, knight F6, knight C3, E6, G3, B6, bishop G2, bishop G7. Oh, sorry, it's it played B6. Sorry guys, B6. Castles, bishop E7, D4, C captures D4, queen captures D4, D6, E4, A6, queen E3. Castles, something happened on the stream. Knight D4, knight B D7, B3, queen C7, bishop B2, and rook F to E8. Okay, so this seemingly passive formation can be used by black against certain lines of the English opening and even appears in some variation of the Sicilian defense. He uses the word seemingly because black's position, though quiet in appearance, is actually bursting with pent-up energy. So one of the ideas in the hedgehog is to kind of counter push against white's strategy. And you have so many different plans. You're very flexible. You're giving white all the space and saying, hey, come at me because I'm going to dodge your punches and I'm going to retaliate, which is pretty cool. Okay. His tight structure keeps the, and this is his words, his tight structure keeps the white forces out of b5, c5, d5, e5, and f5. So, starts from here. Bam, 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 bam. All of these because of his pawns. And forget about it. Definitely, this is a 24-hour stream. So yes, this is it's gonna be fun. Okay. And while the pawn breaks based on b6, b5, or d5, must be carefully weighed by white on every move. So they have to say, okay, is b5 available here? Is d5 available here? And I'll show you some other lines how black can go about this. Is actually a very, very fun opening. Sometimes I use it in tournaments with pretty good success. Okay. And sometimes you play rooks on c1 and d1, or on e2 and d1, depending on where you want to be. Or you can double the rooks on the e file or on the d file. And white will gain more space and a kingside attack by playing f4 and also g4, g5. One might think that the first player's spatial advantage should eventually offer him chances for success. However, black's position is so full of latent energy and so devoid of weaknesses that has been proven to be over and over again a very tough nut to crack. Okay, so they don't go more into detail about this, but I want to show you something. It's actually pretty interesting. Where, let's say you just want to take the center, right? And you can just develop your pieces. You can just keep developing your pieces. Okay, so let's say right? And then e6, right? Just keep developing the pieces. Put all of your pawns. Let's just keep developing. And the idea is you don't care so much about space. All you want to do is kind of see what white wants to do. If white wants to play a kingside attack and pushes here, you don't take. You can just push back and now say, hey, I'm going to have an attack. Now my main break is d5, which it was always there, but now it's even more effective once they push the pawn. A little trick that I like to teach my kids when they're first starting out chess is this opening. Okay, let's say they play something. Let's say they play something like this: c4, c5. Bishop here. All right, and let's say bishop here. Let's say castles here. And say here castles. And basically, I would teach them to attack. So maybe if they play here, we never take. Just never take. Just push. And now our plans become clear. We want to push here, maybe move the bishop back, put the knight over here. And because white has made weaknesses, say white plays here. We can always just take on f3 and then play captures, right? For free pawn. Say c5. Right? We can just take with the b pawn and then just be fine. There are so many ways to go about this opening, and you really don't have any weaknesses. Where are the weaknesses? You can consider this a weakness, but it's only a weakness if you can exploit it. Okay, queen d2, just g5. Very simple. Okay. So let's go on to the next opening. So the King's Gambit, one of my favorite openings. I learned this opening when I was about 900 because I thought gambits were like the way to go in chess. I just thought they were the most manliest way to play chess, and I was wrong. But I like it. I like to play it from time to time. So his words. This very old opening, popular until the start of the 20th century, is rarely seen in modern times because it weakens the white king over here. And leaves black with many tempting defenses to choose from. Nevertheless, players like Spassky, Fischer, Judith Polgar have used it with success. And I wouldn't be, the author, Jeremy Selman, wouldn't be surprised to see it come back in fashion at some other time. So e4, e5, f4. That is the King's Gambit. White places immediate pressure against black's e-pawn and looks forward to making use of his open f-file after he plays knight f3, bishop c4, castles. If black takes the f4 pawn, white succeeds in gaining a majority in center pawns, and he will use it by grabbing this. So let's say he takes. Boom. Now we're going to take here, maybe here, right? But we first have to prep this. Knight f3 and then d4. So let's say d6, d4. And we'll take this back and we're okay. Now g4, h4, this is all like mainline stuff. And maybe bishop c4 might be objectively better. Okay, but let's just go into the text. They have, oh yeah, and holding on to it with g7, g4, h4, okay. There's another option that white has, or black has, is d5. It's the counter gambit, the Falkbeer counter gambit, saying, hey, I'm going to give you a pawn. You trying to give me a pawn? No, I'm going to give you a pawn. Let's do this. So they give up a pawn to try to grab the initiative, and usually they play it here. And the line, I think, is to play push, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Crafty Gaming, thank you so much for following. And thank you so much for being here. The immediate d4 is a main line too. If d4 here, d4 here, like after takes. I don't think you can play d4. If you play d4 here, then I think they have queen h4. Yeah, I think you have to play king e2 because you can't play here because of this, right? So yeah, I don't think you can play d4 there. Yeah, so after Falkbeard's counter gambit, oops, let's go into the counter gambit. Boom. And saying, I'm gonna take the initiative. You can't play f3 effectively. You have to play d3, then knight f6, and I'm gonna try to develop my pieces faster than you. In a gambit, the premise of a gambit is basically I'm gonna give you a pawn, but I'm gonna develop my pieces faster than you are. And it's pretty much for every gambit. I'm gonna develop an attack. I'm gonna develop an initiative. I'm gonna have some open lines, and that's why I'm going to develop the way. That's why I'm gonna give you a pawn. As white, if you're the white player and your black gives you a pawn in the opening, I would say take it always. If they're gonna give you a pawn, just take it and make them prove that they have something. You can give it back, right? You can always give the pawn back whenever you want, but you're up a pawn. Make them prove that they have something. All right, and the next one, declining the gambit. So they can also decline the gambit. So with a bishop c5, and they say that white loses after f captures because of queen h4, right? Let's say if king e2, then we have queen e4 checkmate. And if here, then we have here queen e2, queen captures, d4. Oh, you can't even capture. This is your pawn. Huh? I was thinking about another line. Sorry, but yeah, it's bad. Yeah. So yeah, pretty bad. So yeah, bishop c5, knight f3 first, d6. This is a classical variation. And it keeps a solid position in the center and places the dark bishop on the c5 to g1 diagonal. And I like this defense a lot because it just prevents black from castling. I mean, white from castling. So really easy. White's plan usually center around the creation of a big center with c3 followed by d4 or bishop c4 first, then d3, and then you play knight here, here, or knight here, here to try to get rid of this bishop. And that's a main plan, one of the main plans for the white to play against the black. Okay, now we're gonna go into the KIA, the King's Indian attack. Have you never seen a trap like that? Definitely a playable line. uh, okay, King's Indian attack. The KIA is one of those systems that most chess masters use at some point in their development. Okay, I'm not a chess master, but I use it as well. Bobby Fischer used to play the King's Indian attack versus the French. Oh, thank you so much, Jackie, for following. So you used to use the KIA against the French because he didn't really like the French defense. So I picked it up. I like it. The plans are very simple. So let's see what Jeremy Stillman has to say about it. Okay, before giving it up and moving on to more mainstream openings, it's easy to learn and very aggressive. The main position can be reached by one knight f3. So let's go into knight f3, knight f3, d5. And knight f3 is kind of a flexible opening. You don't have to play the King's Indian attack. You can play many different openings from here. You can play c3, you can play c4, you can play b3, you can play a whole bunch of different openings. You don't have to play it. You can play d4 here, just transposing. Okay. So your options are not limited by knight f3. Knight f3, d5, g3, which is why it's the preferred first move. See what black does. G3, e6, bishop g2, knight f6, castles, c5, d3, knight c6, developing his pieces, knight b to d2, bishop e7, e4. And or it can be reached by e4 as well, but okay, castles, e5, knight d7, rook e1, b5, attacking on the queen side, knight f1, going on to greener pastures and getting out of the way of the bishop, this bishop over here. Queen c7, bishop f4, a5, really trying to go down this way, and h4. Make the nature of the struggle very clear. Mutual wing side attacks are basically what are happening in the King's Indian attack. Black is attacking on the queen side, storming down on the queen side. White is trying to crash down on the king side. And we're going to see who attacks prevails. That's basically what you're doing. Very easy to learn. You develop all of your pieces. There's no real checkmate threats in the opening. I like to employ it when I just don't know what to play and I'm just like, what should I do for today? I'm one of those players when I go to a tournament that I just don't know what to play. I know bits and pieces of openings and I know some openings very well. King's Indian attack is just very easy to learn. So I suggest you pick it up if you like aggressive openings, if you like to calculate tactics, if you like to calculate attacks versus their attack and calculate both sides. I really recommend it for any starting chess player as well. So White's advanced e-pawn, and we're going back to the text, virtually cuts the board in half right here, separating Black's pieces on the queen side from Black's king side forces. Black intends to continue annexing queenside space with the dark squares in Black's king side by h4, h5, h6. And then knight f1, he goes to f, well, you can go here and then probably here. And g4. In practice, White's kingside attack tends to overshadow Black's demonstrations on the other side of the board, and this explains why aggressive players like Bobby Fischer and amateurs who like a clear plan to follow find this system enjoyable to play. Okay? Very, very simple. Just try to get an attack, develop all your pieces. My pieces are just going over here. And the plan is h4, h5, boom, boom. Get your pieces to good squares. Very easy. I hate this position for black. Yeah. I actually looked at knight f3, f5, d3, e4 for my team match yesterday in case I had to face the grandmaster. I have probably never played this opening. Yeah, try it. Try it. It's definitely a good opening. Stonewall. Gotta love pushing the H pawn. Actually, the H pawn actually signifies an attack once you push it. So that's it. That's a key thing. It's in many openings when pushing an H pawn. Look out for that. So now we're gonna go into the brother of the King's Indian attack, the King's Indian defense. This opening is a favorite of fighting players like Fischer and Kasparov. Black tends to develop his kingside pieces and castles, allowing White to build a large center, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna give you the center, but I'm gonna come back and try to take it back from you." Okay, so we're gonna look at it from the black side, since it is a defense. All defenses are for black and all attacks are for white. c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6. Thank you so much for following. Black's strategy revolves around the two important ideas. Okay, two very important ideas. One, he claims a share of the center with c7, c5. If white closes the center with d4, d5, okay, let's say bishop g5. All right, so here are the two options. If white plays d4, d5, now we can play here. And let's see what he says. Black can open up the e file with e7, e6, or he can play for a queenside expansion with b7, b5. Notice how black is playing on the side where his pawns point. A detailed description of pointing pawns are going to be found later in the upcoming lessons. But normally your pawns are pointing this way, right? That's where you should be playing. Pawns most likely are going to dictate 90% of the time they're going to dictate where you need to play in the middle game. You see white's pawns are kind of just like in the center, play in the center. Right? They're not really pointing anywhere. But definitely mines are pointing somewhere. But his pieces are also pointing somewhere. You see that? Bishop, boom, boom, queen. Maybe you need to play the center and then play on the king side. Okay, and let's say they play d5. Yeah, so d5. If black does decide to play the b7, b5, you got to make some preparatory moves. So you got to play like a6, and you got to come here. So let's just make some not moves for him. We're looking at the ideas. I'm not making the best moves for white. Something like that. And try to play on the side where this side, try to make b7, b5 actually make it work. Okay, pretty simple stuff. And of course, it maintains a slight edge. Yep. No need to just prep specific theory. It's playable, yeah. Yeah, a lot of good openings. A lot of good openings, guys. Okay. So that's one way of playing. It is very important to note that black's most common plan is the position after d5. So let's go back to d5. Queen a5. Threatening knight captures e4. Bishop d2. e6. Opening up the e file for the rooks. So, number 2. He claims his share of the center with e7, e5. This is the other plan. So let's go back. This is move. Okay, knight f3. So he claims to share the center with e7, e5. If white closes the center with d5, black will seek play on the king side. So we're playing here, and if let's say they close the center again, now all of our pawns are pointing this way, so we're gonna play on the king side. Right, and the most natural reply is knight f3. So Let's just go back. I gotta get to move e4, d6. Okay, knight f3 now. Knight f3, castles. Bishop. Okay, bishop e2. I guess they can be interchangeable. Now you play e5. Castles. And you can't take this. I'm pretty sure you can't take this. Because we have knight captures here. We also have this first. We can capture. Whatever captures here. And I think black is even winning here. 3-3, 3-3, but I have no weaknesses. I'm attacking. Yeah, and I'm castled already. Yeah. So don't take the pawn. That pawn's poisoned. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Okay. So d5 castles. Nice trap to look out for too. Knight c6, d5. And now knight e7, knight e1. He wants to prep f4 as well. Again, trying to break the center, and you know your pawns are all here. So you gotta decide the plan, which one you want to play on. Knight e1, knight d7. In close positions, both players must attack on the wings with pawns. These pawn advances give them more space and open files for their rook. Black's move prepares for f7, f5 advance. So knight d3, f5, bishop d2, knight f6. The immediate f4, or even here, the immediate f4 allows white to exchange off his bad bishop by bishop g4. We don't want to do that. So this is how you can tell which bishop is a bad bishop. You see these center pawns? They're on light squares, right? Now the light square bishop cannot move effectively in the center, therefore it is the bad bishop. Don't allow them to trade off for your good bishop because all your pawns are on dark squares. Take that home with you guys. If this is the one thing you learned today, take it. Okay, so knight d7, 4, 5. Bishop d2, knight f6. f3, f4. Now they closed it. When black will go all out for a kingside attack via g5, h5, g4, and white will play to conquer the queenside with c4, c5, and rook c1. So those are the plans for both players in this opening. And now we're going to go over one of my favorite openings and one I want to do a series on, actually. It's called the Larson opening. For white, it's a 1b3. This harmless looking opening b3 wasn't given much respect until the great Danish grandmaster Bent Larsen, who jokingly called this the baby orangutan because the orangutan is actually b4. Similar ideas though. Began winning one game after another with it in the late 1960s and early 1970s. With 1b3, white prepares to place his bishop on the active b2 h8 diagonal, though this lets black take an immediate spatial edge with e5 or d5. White hopes to chip away at the enemy center with his pieces on bishop b2, knight f3, and with his pawns on c2, c4, and f4. Is black's center strong or overextended? That's what this battle is all about. 1b3. One normal sequence is b3, e5, bishop b2. The first strike against this pawn, knight c6, e3, developing here, here, preparing here. Kind of Really, really nice moves. D5. Black wants it all now. He wants the whole center, saying, hey, I'm going to take all this center for me. Thank you. Now white must react aggressively or he'll be overrun in the center. Bishop b5. Pinning the knight and renewing the threat. Now I'm threatening takes and then bishop takes on e5. If they play like something like this, then I can always just take, right? So you really got to defend the pawn again. Bishop d6. Oops, sorry. Bishop d6. And now moves like f4, knight f3, or c4 can be played. Knight f3 seems a little bit more defensively responsible, but I think f4 is nice. Although it weakens your king, you know, sometimes you just got to play strong chess. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. But okay, let's just play. Let's see, continue the battle, taking aim at d5. All continue the battle. Okay, all of these continue the battle. So let's say like f4. Obviously they can't take, right? Because then bishop captures g7. And what about queen here? So what? We play king f1, f captures e3. We play queen e2, and we're fine. And we can pick up our rook effectively. Okay, what happens on f6? Then we just play knight e2. We just play normal chess. Okay. What happens on bishop d6? We can play knight here as well. Also threatening this in some cases. The queen e7. Now we can castle. We have all of our pieces out. We're good. Let's say c4. Bishop d7. Hello. You know? Let's say they don't want to lose out. Let's say they play here. Now we can just play f4 as well. We can play f4. We can play knight f3. Now this is kind of like the center's destroyed, if you will. Yeah. Simple chess. And that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch some chess videos. If you like what you saw, again, please consider giving me a subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you like the video, give it a like. If you don't like the video, give me a comment. Tell me what I can do better. That's all for now. Bye bye.